Hello everyone, my name is Nova, and today I'm going to be showing you an updated version of my old Chromatic tutorial. I may forget some things in this tutorial, so I suggest giving my old one a watch as well. So what you're going to want to do first is record your samples, which I already have ready, because I was trying to record this before, and I had some technical difficulties. But you can either record it in FL up here, or you can record it in any other recording software you may have. I would suggest Audacity, but it's really up to you. So what you want to do is you want to get your samples, and then before you do anything, you're going to want to click Edit Sample. After you click the top left of it, the little waveform symbol, and then it's going to pull up this menu. Normally it doesn't look like this, but I have Spectrum on. This is going to show you your sample, and what you're going to want to do is highlight some blank space, regardless of if there's anything there or not. What this is a new step that I do every time I make a chromatic now. That is, it denoises it. So after, you're going to want to highlight that, right-click this little toothbrush icon. That's going to get the noise profile of whatever you just highlighted. Then you're going to Control-A, select everything. Then you're going to left-click this, and then it's going to bring up this menu. This is where, if you'd want to look at the, if you'd want to look at another tutorial, that's up to you, because I don't know what most of this does, but I do know that this is the only thing I mess with, and I would suggest moving this to around 3/4. I usually move it around here. It usually starts off in the middle. Don't move it too high, as that will make your chromatic sound almost underwater-like. And then once you do that, you're going to hit accept. And that's going to get rid of all the white noise between the chromatics. And then once you do that, I would still suggest trimming stuff out manually at the start and end. And then you have a cleaned up sample. I said this in my last tutorial. I've seen some tutorials that have you take the sample and then just put it there repeatedly. I highly suggest against that. That is a huge time waster. What you're going to do from here, once you have your cleaned up sample, you're going to click this again, and you're going to go straight to pitch correct sample. You're going to crank these down and crank center up. And what I like to do here is I like to trim off the ends of everything so that everything sounds nice and clean, more so than the drummer does. And then once you have that all cleaned up, what you're going to want to do is put the staircase pattern. That's FL crashing live. And then once you have it in the staircase pattern, what you're going to do is select everything and move it. You could move it lower. I wouldn't suggest anything much lower than this, as it can mess up how your chromatic sounds. But it is a personal preference thing. You can move this as low as you want, as long as you don't think it sounds too bad. But I highly suggest you remember wherever C3 is when you do that. So you're going to select everything, and you're going to move your cursor here, around here, wherever you want, and you're going to paste. After you select everything, you're going to copy it, and then you're going to paste it. And then you're going to do this a few times. You could also use Control-A to select everything instead of highlighting it. Then you're going to do this a few times. I do it until around C7. It's going to go a little after C7. And what this method does, the way I do it, you will end up with exactly 50 samples, which is a nice rounded number. There we are. So now once you have this, this is a part where some things are going to diverge depending on what you have in trial. What you're going to want to do is go in here and open Edison. And you're going to want to record this manually and just have this play for a couple minutes while it records. One problem with that, though, is if you're on the newest version, FL24, you can no longer do that, as far as I'm aware. So then what you're going to have to do is use something else to record it, such as OBS or anything else that can do recording, which is very non-consumer friendly, but what are you gonna do? But if you have paid FL or cracked who said that? You could just drag it straight out of there. And then, once you do that, I move it into the playlist here, and then I hit edit sample again. This is where I'm going to turn spectrum off so I can better see stuff. So then what you do from here, this is also a new method that I found that is very easy for slicing everything. I forgot to mention when I was making it, I suggest you take a good, maybe a second and a half, 2 second pause between your samples. And also I suggest you hold your sample for around 2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds each. I usually do longer than that. I'll hold it for maybe 5 up to 6, 7 seconds. But for the tutorial's sake, I held them not as long here. And it's another preference thing. But you want to make sure when you're doing that, you try to keep all one tone. Or like, not voice crack or anything. And then what you do here, you're going to go up here, and you're going to dull auto slice. And if you did it right, with the spacing, it should look like this, where you won't have to manually move anything, except for maybe a few things here and there like that. But then, with my method, you'll know you did it right if you see this last one should be 50, as I said earlier. And then, what I'm going to do here is normalize. I left click that, and then I right click, and that does it a bit more. I don't like how that's doing that, but that's something that I have not learned how to fix. So I would, once again, suggest looking through another couple tutorials and like combining all the information you gather from that to make your own method. But from here, what I do now, in my old tutorial, I would move these a little up so that it's in the middle, or towards the middle of the sample instead of right at the start, because it's going to pick up that every time you hit the note. So, with this method, if you edit it in Edison, you can move this first one, and then they all move, so you don't have to do it manually for each and every one, which is really nice. And I'm very glad I found that a good while ago. And then you just save it, and then once it's saved, you can open up an FLP to test it out. This is a step you do not have to do, but for this tutorial's sake, I'm going to do it to show an example of what the chromatic should roughly sound like following this tutorial. And this is, so far, the fastest method I've found, and the easiest. And 90% of it is doable on trial. And if you followed everything up until this point, you should have a chromatic that sounds somewhat like this. I think I would suggest for my old tutorial that I'm not going to include in the description here, so I suggest you go tap into that if you want it. I'm going to put on reverb and stuff here. Not reverb, vibrato. Vibrato. And regardless here, if your chromatic has popping at the start, regardless of what this looks like, you're going to want to click volume envelope, go to the very start here, zoom in as much as you can, and put 2 points like this. And what that should do is eliminate the popping. I probably explained that better in my old tutorial, but then it should sound somewhat like this. That's it. That's the tutorial. I may be forgetting something, but I don't know. So, for now, yeah, that's it. I don't know how to end these things off. Have fun.